Everyone. This week we got Jeff Sorkowitz, amazing minimal tech producer, has releases on Revival, has his own record label called Short Circuit. Yeah, insane amount of awesome minimal tech releases on the darker side. But yeah, let's meet him. Let's get into it. So, what's going on? How you doing?
Doing good.
Talking.
Is this us starting?
Yeah, we're starting. I guess going right into
Sweet.
it.
Cool.
But yeah, so I mean, I was kind of going through like your Spotify and stuff. Were you releasing before 2021?
What is it now? 2025, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess that sounds about right. 2020, 2021, something like that.
Okay. So when did you start producing then?
2019 maybe?
Okay. So
yeah, I feel like I was at it learning for maybe a year or two, year and a half before I started releasing music.
Yeah, I feel like you say 2019. I'm like, oh, it's not that long ago. I'm like, well, 6 years ago now.
I feel like anything like before the pandemic is like another it's like another era.
Yeah, it sounds crazy. Like I was 25 right before, or 26.
Even sometimes I'll like watch something on TV and it's like it's not old, but it's from like 2015, and just like nobody knew what was about to come with like the pandemic and like Trump and just like all the crazy shit that's happened in the world. It's just like you can't relate to any media that like exists before like 2016.
Dude, it's been like, I feel like especially the past like 5 years now, it's just like nonstop like craziness is going on. It's like,
yeah, the whole world's kind of insane, but the music stays the same.
Yeah, well, yeah,
to an extent,
stays the same. Dance music is constantly changing, I feel like, but yeah, I mean the whole
it changes, but we're
stuff.
still doing the same shit that people are doing in like in the 80s and 90s, just with cell phones added, you know.
Yeah. Well, I feel like minimal tech kind of blew up since COVID. I feel like people didn't want to listen to more like, I don't know, jumping bangers, EDM stuff. Got more. LP, I feel like. But
well,
still, I mean,
I kind of see it the other way around, because I feel like during the pandemic, a lot of the music that I was exposed to was more of like deep house minimal stuff, like the PIV kind of sound.
Yeah.
But I think after the pandemic, a lot of that went more clubby.
Yeah, no,
but
it
now
definitely
like
did.
the tech house world is going more towards like the underground side, so a lot of worlds are colliding, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's good though. I mean, change and makes it more interesting, which is the same thing over and over. Like I feel like I thought tech house was gonna die like in 2018, 19.
Yeah, well that's what I always tell people is like I feel like my music is just tech house. It's just like 2025 tech, because tech house was cool back when like, you know, Michael Beebe was doing like Hanging Tree, like it was super cool.
Yeah.
But then that kind of morphed into like commercial tech house, and I feel like what's cool in club music is now like, you know, hopefully the kind of sound that I do. So I just feel like it's the new cool version of tech house, as tech house has become more like big room, main stage kind of sound.
Yeah, definitely. And you're from the States, right? Where did you grow up?
Yeah, I'm from New York.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Because I feel like in California, there's a lot of like the tech house is like, I don't know, it's so mainstream over here. I feel like, so I don't know if it's different.
Yeah, well, I mean, everything
would be a lot different in Miami or New York.
Everything has its place. I mean, there's some like really incredible productions that are, you know, more big stage commercial kind of productions. It's not necessarily like what I focus on, but
yeah.
Everything has its place. There could be like really cheesy shit underground music, and there could be like really tasteful, well produced main stage music. So I think it's less about like that and more just about like making stuff that's good, because there could be good stuff on any scale, or bad.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, I think it's good though. It's like constantly changing though. It's something that's like every 3 years I feel like something kind of new style, but it's always progressing, which is good.
Yeah, but also like you know, what's old becomes new.
That's true. A lot of stuff's like coming back around.
Yeah, things can be very cyclical. Like in the UK
Yeah.
now, I feel everything sounds like it's very retro 90s kind of sound.
Yeah, like Patrick Topping's label, all that stuff's kind of coming back around. And it's like,
Yeah,
he's
I mean,
killing
that's
it.
not even what I was thinking of, but like, yeah, that he's
Okay.
doing the whole kind of like rave sound, like old school, big beat rave sounds.
Yeah, yeah. So you started producing in 2019. Were you always into this, like, kind of, I mean, deeper stuff?
No, not really. I wasn't really into anything. I wasn't really raving until, I mean, I started to go out to parties in New York, and I guess I was blessed by being a New Yorker, kind of get to go in the deep end.
Yeah.
I feel like I kind of skate because in the States, especially, I think a lot of people, you know, from wherever you only get to be exposed to certain kind of more surface level sounds. Like, you know, having toured around the States, a lot of, you know, smaller cities really just have like their one or two clubs that do dance music, and you're only going to get kind of so deep down the rabbit hole. But I in New York just started going out to went to like a lot of Resolute parties, like Romanian minimal parties.
Okay.
So I got that was like the first sound that I was really into. It was like Priku was, I think I saw Priku play at like 8 a.m. for Resolute once, and was like, this is so cool. So that was like the first kind of thing that I got into. So kind of like right in the deep end, but it was more just like going out to parties in New York, and then pretty quickly I'm like, I want to make this music and
So
play
were you
this
making
music.
music beforehand?
No, no, I was a corporate attorney for years.
No way.
Yeah, so while I was doing that, I started like, because you know it's New York City, like you just kind of stumble, like you have different friends who do different kinds of things, and you just kind of come across different scenes.
Yeah.
And so eventually I just kind of like happened across the rave scene, I guess. But yeah,
What
definitely
are
fortunate in
you
that
still
respect.
doing you're not an attorney still, are you?
I mostly gave that up for touring. You know, it's my
Nice.
main focus is the music.
Yeah, yeah,
I
definitely.
still do some things here or there, you know, pay the bills. But
No clue you were a corporate attorney.
oh yeah, oh yeah, I went to Georgetown Law School. I worked at like one of the biggest white shoe law firms in New York City for 5 years, and then I left
No way. That's
after
crazy.
after my last COVID bonus. I left.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been like in and out of like the finance business, but I'm
Okay.
like trying to do everything I can to stay afloat through music and
What
events
do you
and stuff.
within finance? What's the sector?
I was doing subprime auto sales for a while. That industry is very tough and competitive. But yeah, that was like the main thing.
Subprime auto sales, does that mean like used cars?
For the most part, yeah, yeah. So I mean, subprime is just we were financing people with less than perfect credit.
I see. So subprime financing with
Yeah, subprime
for
financing.
cars.
So we would do a little bit of everything too. We like specialize in recreational vehicles. So when
Hmm.
COVID hit, I mean, RV sales were going through the roof.
Oh, that's, yeah, I can see
So
that.
that's where I like kind of like I started pushing really hard. But
Yeah.
for the most part, I mean, it's tough because if you're able to afford an RV, you're probably don't have bad credit.
Why are they super expensive?
Like an RV,
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, yeah, like a travel RV thing.
I guess if you're not living in it, if like you just have
Yeah,
it
if you're not
for
living, and that was another
recreation,
thing. If you're living in it, we wouldn't be able to finance it because it's like a
primary
mortgage or
home.
something like that. We don't have the licensing to
I see.
finance if someone's living in it.
I see. Okay, so if touring doesn't work out and I need to move into an RV, I'll come to
Don't hit
you,
us
but
up for financing.
only if I could finagle
Yeah,
it so that it's my
you gotta tell us that you're just
not
using
my
it for
home.
vacation.
Gotcha.
You
I
tell us
could do
that
that.
you're living in it. Nope, sorry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I already went through it with my mortgage in Miami, like having to like deal with like, is it a second home, primary residence thing? So
Yeah, where are you? Like,
experience in that department.
is the city Miami? You're actually in Miami, or?
I just flew to New York right now. I'm in Brooklyn. I spend most of my time in Brooklyn, but
Okay.
I also have a place in Miami. So this time of year, I'm in Miami a lot for obvious reasons. It's like
Yeah, it's not
10
as cold.
degrees out today.
Yeah, my dad's trying to move out there.
It's a great city. It's thriving. It's pretty expensive now, but South Florida is booming for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of people leaving California for sure.
A lot of people leaving California too.
Yeah, that's what I
It's
said.
expensive. Yeah, I'm like north of like where everything is, like
Mm-hmm.
probably 30 minutes away from where we're playing at. So a lot cheaper where I'm at. But I have a nice place, which is cool. Yeah, I'm like a downtown area.
Nice.
But yeah, let's see here. I got someone has questions here. Yeah. What's like your main aspect like when it comes to like making a track? Like what's like your most important element that you're trying to uh, put in there? If that makes sense.
I don't think there's really such thing as a most important element because everything has to work together. So it's kind of impossible to say. I mean, people definitely tell me a lot about like my low end. It
Yeah.
always seems to stand out to people, but everything has to be good, right? Everything has to work together.
Yeah.
So
Do you
I
work in like
think
a certain key or anything, or is just whatever sparks an idea?
no, everything's always a different key. I mean, they say F, G, and A are the best keys to work in. I think just because
Sub.
the sub for
Yeah.
those keys happens to just like hit in the sweet spot. So
Yeah.
F, G, and A. Also B is like
B really
that's
okay.
that's it's a funky one. I feel like a lot of driving bass lines are in B as well, but you know, it's there are cool tracks in every key.
Yeah. So when you're making, what's like your like creative process when it comes to making a track? Like what usually what do you usually start with to get an idea, or what like
To write a new track, I mean,
yeah
for me, more often than not, I'll just be working on the groove first. I know a lot of people start with some kind of vocal, which I've done, and it kind of just depends what inspires you at the time. Like sometimes I'll have some kind of idea to work around if it's like a melody or a bass line, but usually just the groove. It starts with the groove. But a lot of like it really depends. Like lately, I've been making a lot of new patches, like bass patches in Serum, and I have like one project that I just labeled like bass lines,
yeah
and I have like 10 different. Like I was just writing different bass lines with very simple drums over it. And since then, I've made a few tracks just kind of taking the patches and some of the melodies that I wrote and just writing tracks around those. So, been experimenting just like starting with the bass line, but the bread and butter is usually like a really nice groove, getting all the percussion and drum elements tight, and then adding bass last so that
really
everything kind of grooves for 32 bars. And then adding in like some vocal lead elements last, just so that everything kind of. But once you get a 32 bar groove that just keeps going and you want to keep listening to, the whole track kind of writes itself. So
yeah.
that's usually the process, but I'll start from different aspects at different times, just depending on what I'm experimenting with.
Now I feel like I don't know. So like you start with like a drum groove first. Like I feel like I'd rather go with like just a simple beat and then start making like bass lines out of that. I feel like you're able to be
Yeah, it depends. I mean, my style is very percussive
yeah
and I would say kind of complex because there are a lot of different things bouncing off of each other. A
yeah
lot of times the percussive elements can form melodies, so you're writing through trial and error often a lot of percussive but melodic elements that keep the groove interesting. So like very groove based music, I think a lot of it is just experimenting with drums and percussion, and then everything flows from there.
So I gotta ask for your drums, are you using like certain sample packs or what's your favorite sample pack?
I use a lot of different kind of samples, not always from packs necessarily.
Yeah.
I use a lot for sometimes for my lead drums. A lot of times, especially like 808 style grooves, I'll just use a lot of the Ableton Core Kit.
Really?
You can play with it. Yeah, and I'll do like a lot of processing too with saturation, distortion, that kind of thing. I should probably shout out the IQ Sounds packs.
That's why I got a bunch of those.
Yeah, that's Edda does those, and he was nice enough to feature me on their website, and I do I think he asked because he knows that I use a lot of those packs too.
You don't have your own sample pack with them, do you? Do they want you to?
I may do one if I have time. I may do one. I want to. I just need to actually find time because putting together sample packs is a lot of work. I would do it with him over anybody else because I love the packs that he makes.
Yeah,
it's my friend, but it's just a lot of work. So I would need to before actually committing to it, I need to find the time to really do it because it's a lot. It's to make a good pack because he only puts out good ones and has kind of a list of what needs to go in them. So to fill out the list and have whatever it is, 30 hi-hats and several different full kits and all of that. It's just a lot of work. So I would need to really have the time.
Yeah, I have 9. I use their IQ Sounds a lot. I have 9 of their packs, and then I also use the I'm not sure if you pronouncing it right, but Blanc.
Yeah, Blanc's a classic for sure.
Now, where do you get your vocals? Where it's your main area you get them from?
Different sources. It depends on the track. I think I'm known for a lot of kind of in your face kind of female hip hop trap vocals, which a lot just comes from pop music or hip hop or however you want to classify it. So that's definitely a good amount of my music. I have a bunch that I've done just in AI, which is cool. Yeah. My track on my label Short Circuit with Mellow that's coming out in February is
we actually haven't booked right after you.
Great. I mean, Damon's fucking awesome. So that'll be great. That one, we had some Instagram video that we pulled the vocals from. And then when we were working on it in Miami, I'm just I kind of heard a part of it. I'm let me redo this part in AI so that it sounds a bit cleaner. So, for that track, I did something like that. I've pulled stuff from all different sources. My DSL track is from a Howard Stern interview. But I think the bread and butter is kind of the hip hop trap kind of sound.
That's what I've been kind of pushing and trying to look for is R&B or hip hop sounds. You just go in Splice or something, you type in tech house, it's just you're gonna use all the same.
Yeah, I don't do a lot of Splice.
That's good.
But it's all different sources. I have one coming out on Deep Perfect that's Tony Braxton, so that's a little bit more R&B kind of vibe. But yeah, it just depends on the groove and what kind of thing fits in it. But I just feel with a lot of my music, there's a very distinct vocal style that works. And so I pull a lot of those kinds of vocals. But, I'm working on, I like to work with a lot of more original vocalists, which I have been. But in particular, more original, female rappers would be great to work with. So that's a bit of a project for me because, there are a lot of people who can kind of run those kinds of vocals in an original way without pulling from pop culture, which I think is always better. Then you could kind of give somebody a feature. So that's kind of top of mind lately as well.
Yeah. So you seem you're super busy. Do you have a schedule to make music, or you just whenever inspiration hits? Or
no, it's hard to make a schedule because it's just I mean, I've trying to more recently, but in all my years, I've never really penciled in studio time or anything. But all part of it too is just if you really want to be a great artist, I think you should always be working on music pretty much 24/7 anyway. Because if you're not compelled to always be there are definitely times where I want to break, and there are definitely times where I'm kind of 24/7 just in the zone working. But it's anything, if you're super into it, you don't really schedule time for it because it's always on. It's always what you're doing, that's. I think that's what
just what
a real artist is if you love it and you're super passionate about it, you're always going to be doing it anyway. So it's not I don't know. It's more so I need to, there are a lot of days where I'll be working on music, and I'm like, shit, I had like all these other business and things that I should have done, but I didn't get them done because I was like just in the studio because it's what I want to do. So I think more so I would need to schedule time and like set deadlines to do other things. Like I just don't really need to schedule studio time, I would say.
And you're the A&R, or are you the A&R for your label?
No, Hank Harrison is my A&R, and he does a lot of like outreach and coordinating with artists. But you know, at the end of the day, I kind of have the say in everything since it's my baby.
Yeah, you have the last say, like, yeah, I'll sign it or not.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've been producing for 7 years now.
No, it hasn't been 7 years. I think it's been like 5.
No, six or 5, or it's like going
we just
on.
started 2025. I think I started like late 2019. Yeah, like five and a half years.
And when did you start Short Circuit?
I mean, I did parties with that brand like right away when I started, maybe in like before the pandemic, maybe in like 2020, but that was like more primitive, fully fleshed out vision. With the label, I think I started maybe like 2021 or so. We're on release 35 now, so it's been, it's a pretty significant catalog at this point.
How often are you guys trying to have releases, like once a month or something?
So I've been doing once a month, which is great. Kind of now we're flipping to more like every 3 weeks or so. I'd like to do more like 18 releases per year, just because once a month is great, but sometimes we put something out and it doesn't have the impact that I necessarily want, or there have been times where I've skipped a month and then all of a sudden it's like a month goes by and we don't really have things that are in everybody's face in the charts. So when it is once a month, you kind of risk kind of having gaps where music isn't popping off the way we'd like to. But I think every 3 weeks or so is, it's not super frequent. Like there are labels that release every week or every 2 weeks, but with every 3 weeks, it's kind of a good frequency so that we will always have something like in the charts that's like being played in the clubs around the world, doing well, consistent, but still infrequent enough that we can really pick special music that we want to put out.
What made you want to start a record label?
It's just kind of like always been the vision. I think when I started, I just wanted to kind of model myself off of the artists who I looked up to and who I kind of wanted to model my career off of. And so that was always a big part of it. And I just kind of like had a vision for it from the beginning. Label, events, collective of artists.
You guys are doing events too.
We've done a lot of events in Brooklyn kind of once upon a time, when we were all starting up and more local.
Yeah.
Kind of as the career became more, going from local artists to more like a touring artist.
Yeah.
The event side was kind of on the back burner until it grew to the point where it really made sense to get events up and running. But now I'm currently planning for shows around the country, most likely in the spring into the summer. So New York, I'm starting to plan like some really cool stuff. Obviously, it's my home market. Really great partners here. So New York, I'm super excited about. And, the other cities are coming along. I'd like to do maybe like 4 or 5 shows, April, May, maybe with the final one in June in New York. It's all coming together. Speaking to different cities, I like very much right now. So there's nothing to like announce or confirm yet, but everything's looking great. And it's something that I'm really excited about to kind of like take the label on the road. And a big part of it is, now I have some other artists in the States who are emerging and doing really well, who I kind of take on tour with me for the label, which I think is just like way better than just touring myself and doing like headline shows or whatever the case may be. Just featuring me to be able to like have the whole crew on it is a lot stronger.
What cities were you looking at?
Excuse me. It's hard to say until we have everything confirmed. But
what are you thinking then, I guess? Or
it'll most likely be some combination of the cities you'd expect: New York, Miami, Chicago, Atlanta, maybe Austin. But, I have obviously a lot of connections in the various cities I've played over time. Like I'd love to do LA, I'd love to do Phoenix because some of our guys are in Phoenix. I'd love to do DC. So it's a longer list, but I think it's just a matter of kind of cutting it down and picking the right partners for each city for this first run, and then we can come back to a broader list. So the next one, think about music week, think about maybe like off week, think about some more international stuff, and see where we can pop up at different festivals and music week equivalents like off week or whatever. But for this first run, don't want to push it too much, want to keep it to like
definitely
4 or
you don't
5
want to oversaturate yourself
with not even saturation, just want to make sure that the first few are like really successful, so that we have something solid to go off of.
I've been like thinking I've always wanted to start a record label through like the brand Loco Disco. I don't even know where to start. I don't even know how to run a record label. So it's like your A&R, your buddy. Are you guys like partners on it or
on the label?
Yeah,
I wouldn't say partners. I mean, he's helping me with a lot of stuff, but at the end of the day, the label's mine. Like my kind of ownership. It's as things grow, it's kind of all hands on deck. So everybody who's involved just kind of has to do everything they can to help grow, and then we take it from there. But the actual ownership part of it is all on me.
So where did you learn to run a record label then?
You just do
go
it.
for it.
You just kind of go for it and learn as you go.
Yeah, when I first started throwing events, I mean, I had an idea. I kind of worked at a club in college, and I was like, I want to throw events. And then I just knew like the basis of how to. I mean, I just wrote everything down what I needed to do, and I was like, all right, let's do that. And then just kind of learn throughout the way. And then like, okay, I need to start doing more marketing. So and just keep investing into the business itself. And I was like, remember I bought my first we're at like a venue, and then we left that venue, and I was like, I need a sound system. So I was like, I bought this like QSC sound system. I'm like, oh, this is so sick. And then I realized real quick, I'm like, wait, this is not the sound system I need.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of trial and error and just getting things wrong, and then you'll never make the same mistake again.
Yeah, I remember I got the sound system. I was all stoked. And then some other local kid's like, hey, this is the sound system you got, right? I'm like, yeah, same one. He's like, cool, I just bought it. I'm like, what the heck? Some kid just bought the same sound system as me. I'm like, okay. And then like 6 months later, that's when I took out a loan and I got the Voids.
Nice.
And the Voids are,
Voids
a little bit better.
The best. That's my favorite.
Yeah, they're pretty loud. I mean, they can get very loud.
Yeah, Voids are best for I mean, different music. I mean, I have like Voids, Function Ones, everything sounds good. Voids are really great for like the Romanian minimal kind of sounds. Kind of like the deeper kicks and bass lines really have a lot of presence on Void systems. Having said that, at Sunwaves, it's all Function Ones, and those stages sound amazing. So you kind of can't go wrong if you're going to the top brands, as long as everything's like tuned and treated right. Because I've definitely played in some spaces where they're like, we have Function Ones, and like they advertise it, but they're not actually like the room. It's not actually tuned, and the room is kind of shit. And it's like, I'd rather play on like a well-tuned system that's not from some like a fancy name brand than play on like Function Ones that are just set up and not done properly.
Yeah, there's this one venue out here. Another promoter was trying to do like a collab show, and I was like, I wasn't like, everything wasn't really connecting for me. I'm like, I'm good. I don't want to do it. And then like I went to the show, and like, they had Function Ones, and I walked in. Dude, it sounded horrible. It was just blaring. Like, I was like, okay, I'm glad I didn't do this show.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, people I see that a lot. Like promoters get caught up with just name brand stuff. Like they want to advertise like we have a Void system.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't worry about advertising it. Like worry about actually having really good sound.
Yeah.
But people fall into that trap in all respects.
Yeah. So what do you see like So you want to do shows with Short Circuit? Is that like your short-term plan right now, I guess, or?
It's definitely something I'm focused on at like this very specific moment, like today, this week. But there are always a lot of things going on at once. You know, like the filling out the release schedule, making sure all of the right DJs have my music is also always a big undertaking. Staying active in the studio and pushing new sounds is the most important thing that I could be doing at any, because without that, nothing else really matters.
Yeah.
Doing all the label stuff and the A&R and pushing the records is also a big thing.
Sorry, let me get my dog.
I think your dog disagrees.
So yeah, music number one, obviously. Working on the parties. I mean, parties in different cities. That takes a lot of time, right? Like in the right partner and promoter.
Yeah, I mean, venue. I think we'll see because I haven't done like a label tour before, so we'll see how much of an undertaking it is. But I think it's all about working with the right promotional partners, like the right partners in each city, because it's not like I have the infrastructure to like throw up. Even in New York, where I have the biggest presence, like I don't necessarily have the my skills aren't as a promoter, right? So I still need partners to kind of get everything done and source the right venues and do all the ticketing and everything like that. So, it's not too different from kind of just regular tour dates, right? Like when you work with local promoters in each city, it's the only real difference is like instead of kind of booking me for a headline show or whatever the case may be, you're kind of booking the whole brand and label and lineup for this specific concept. But it's not that different from just booking a show and playing a show. I think there will be a lot of content and all of that kind of stuff wrapped around it, so it's making it all part of one concept that resonates with people is definitely a bit of an extra task. But I definitely can't worry too much about selling tickets in whatever city because I think all the people on the ground are gonna have to be able to do that.
Yeah, having the right promoter with the right marketing, the same the same type of style, definitely gonna help.
Yeah, just and that's why for this first run, I just want to make sure that I'm working with people that I really trust and have an existing relationship with.
Yeah. Well, we've done 36 minutes. I guess we could wrap it up here.
Cool.
What would you say is the most important thing for an up-and-coming DJ or producer to be doing to become a touring DJ?
What's the most important thing to be doing? Just like, everybody, for most people, it's going to be the music that they produce, but not necessarily everyone. But, at the end of the day, what you're working towards is putting out something as an artist that actually resonates with people, that they care about, both, from a purely artistic standpoint for your own fulfillment, because that's kind of the virtue of being an artist is doing something artistically that resonates with people, but also just from a business standpoint, if you want people to notice you and buy tickets to see you and everything, you need to be putting out something that actually resonates with people. So it's different for everybody. I think with most people, the main thing is going to be their productions because that's what's successful about an artist. Mostly, that's what sets you apart is the style of music that you make and put out there. But for some people, like you think about like a Mochak or whatever, a lot of it is like personality driven and performance driven. So whatever your thing is, for most people it's the music that you produce. For some people it may be like you have a vinyl collection and you're known as like maybe you like own a record store or have some kind of connection with vinyl. Some people are more performative, some people play live, but whatever you do, just honing in on that thing that's going to resonate with people, because everything else is kind of bullshit, right? Everything else just is part of the rat race, part of putting yourself out there. Like people are focused on social media or whatever, it's all important, but like if there's no substance behind it, then like what's the point in even doing anything if you don't work towards having the substance to put out there that people are going to resonate with. So, I think that's first and foremost is just like working on your own personal talent, because otherwise you're kind of just like, what's even the point if if you don't have something very tangible that you're excited about that you want to share with people. So, for most people, it'll just be working in the studio and finding the thing that you love and honing in on that. Because if you're putting something out there that you don't personally love and that you're not super passionate about, it's just not going to translate. So I think that's the most important thing, and everything just flows from building on that.
Yeah, definitely. I think music's the most important thing.
Yeah,
but I feel like
it's really
social media's taken over, and people are making careers out of that way.
Yeah, well, I mean, social, but it's just a means to an end, right? Like,
yeah,
it's just a place to put what you do out there. The same way, like Spotify is like, nobody's like, to be successful you need to like focus on Spotify or focus, like, no, you need to like have the thing that you're putting out into the world. That's the entirety of it, and all these other things are just platforms and media to like utilize for your art.
Yeah. Well, cool. Awesome. Yeah, we've done 40 minutes here. We'll wrap it up, and I'll see you on Saturday. I'll talk to your manager, agent. We'll schedule a pickup time.
Cool. Excited to see you. Excited to get out there.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks for your time, Rob.
Yeah, you too. See ya. All right, and that is it. Awesome conversation with Jeff here, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.